be kind of two theoretic session. So these would be like introducing you few terms which would be really necessary for an individual to know about. Fine. So from next session, rather we'll be having a quiz. So that quiz may start at any time. Okay, so I will be letting you know about that particular quiz. Okay, in the like in WhatsApp group only, I would be communicating you that information. So with respect to the topics that we covered till date, say for example on Monday, suppose we take a class, so questions would be based on last this Saturdays and then earlier session. Okay, two sessions. So you need to be ready with that questions. So this would be in class evaluation for you peoples. And it may not be the case like it will start say at the initial stage or it may start towards end. It may be in between two. Okay, so even if whether you are attending or not, whether you are paying attention or not, this would be evaluated. Okay, and that would be available to you with that time only, with the respective time. Fine, so let us start for again today's session. So as I pointed out, we saw a few things rather in the previous session. So which we started with the motivation behind the course. Then we introduced ourselves with respect to what is the definition of operating system. And we moved further with respect to what are the different responsibilities of OS for the user's perspective. Correct. As well as we tried finding out what would be the viewpoints related to the different aspects. Why exactly we require an operating system. Even we had a brief, very small kind of discussion with respect to what are the different functions required to be performed by an operating system. So we'll move further now and like we will talk about now new aspects related to your this course. And so which we had this kind of discussion in the previous session. So I will start the slide after that. So let us try to address okay, what exactly we mean by these types. Now, like if you see, when I do talk about historical perspective, these might be the types mentioned in most of the books. But still, like though we have very well established operating systems around, considering say Microsoft Windows, okay, which they released 11 version yesterday. Even we had Linux, different distributions. Okay, we had iOS. Okay, and these most of these operating systems were also available with majority of devices. Now I don't know how many of you have tried this, but like if you have some old phone at your home, you basically can definitely install Linux operating system on your mobile as well. In 2010, 9 or 10, like one student was there who installed Linux on his phone. So he made it like from our computer science department. He made that device in a dual boot mode. So once like that used to ask whether you want to start Linux or you want to start Android kind of. So dual boot kind of device. So that also can be done. But then again, it requires some amount of effort, some amount of knowledge in respect of installation procedure. Because if you have seen rather our installation procedure is what we don't read anything which is shown in front of us and we do click yes, OK, next, I accept, continue. Now, like it is like if you recall, I was talking about terms and conditions apply. It is written always in small font. So that's the case. Like even few devices may not permit you to install other operating systems. So if we take example of Macintosh OS, they had always their different processor. They never used to get they never used to get installed on our Pentium machines. Now they are coming up with this Core i5, Core i3, Core i7 kind of devices. They also developed variants for that particular operating system because they saw popularity of these devices. So are the architecture by Intel and they came up with that. And that's what like okay, so now let us really talk about what could be the kind of types with respect to historical manner. Still few of them are really available still, but definitely there is a huge change happening in OS industry, operating system development industry. So though they are very limited, but if you see contributions are done by majority of people when we do talk about any open source operating system. Now, when I say open source, Microsoft, iOS are closed systems. Closed system in the sense like only the officials from the company or organization, only programmers recruited by the company can work on that operating system. You never know what is happening in background. Few things might be described to you. Like for example, you may note down one book if you are really interested and if you have some time, free time for a while. So you can use or you can read. I will point out that book probably from the browser. Okay. Windows Operating System by Charles Petzold. This was one of the JAME book that used to be there always. Okay, so like what it used to do, what it is to talk about, he used to talk about uh, so he used to always talk about that particular development, how exactly the development was. Correct. So Charles Petzold, Windows programming. So like for example, if I wish to say display, see for example control, if I press Control P, now you get this UI. Okay, this would be dialog box for printer. Correct. Now when you really wish to write a code for this case, how many lines do you think? So earlier when they came up with the exact OS in the initial stage, they used to write nearly 1000, 2000, 3000 lines to get only this kind of window. Then after the development took place in a major manner when 95, 98 and so on came in picture, every such code was replaced by something called as application program interface API. That was with respect to users perspective, and from the system side it became like I'm coining two terms now here. One is application programming interface. Okay, this is one. Okay, which would be kind of connection between computers and computer programs. Okay, and other one is application binary interface. And this was with respect to the programs in the background, which would be communicating with each other from the system side. So when I do talk about loader, okay, which is loading my code, like whenever I try to execute any application, for example, when I fire this browser from my machine, ultimately what happened was the API got executed. But now while it is displaying few things, while I'm trying to say, for example, if I open my Gmail, say, let me do this. And when I say I want to attach a file, say, for example, when I say, let me attach a file. So when I click this, it should communicate to now my operating system storage. And that could be done through probably the application binary interface. And that's how it used to work. Right. So these two terms are really important in respect of execution part on the operating system side. Now let us try to address what are the kind of types which are rather mentioned theoretically in multiple books. So definitely I would be addressing few more aspects in general, though they might not been written here, but we definitely would be talking about. So let us talk about first type. So this is single user. Now it was like, if you recall, you must have heard a terminology called personal computers. So they were meant for a single user. Correct. Now when I say single user, only one user would be working with it. There would not be multi-user login. Only single user. And like though it can support multiple accounts, but one could be used at a time. Okay, now might be in next session I will try to show you how can I log in on Linux machine rather. How can I log in with more than a user at same operating system? Okay, so which would be in parallel, correct? Which never used to happen with the single user operating system. And like this was the power was dedicated to only the user who currently is logged in for single user operating system. Now when we do talk about multi-user, it could be network based operating system where multiple people are trying to access that operating system. Now we can think of this to be even, for example, you pick any server like email server. For example, you talk about Gmail. Now with the assumption that each one of us is having a mail ID on Gmail. Now what we do login with our username and password. Now, if we say dedicated server for say Pune jurisdiction is stored is incorporated in some place like in the city, somewhere in city. Now each one of us would be connecting through it. Correct. Though our account could be at other places, but now we are trying to connect with the system. Now when I say we, there could be more than a user, and this would be through either the terminals I mean to say like text based, or there could be multiple examples. Like for example, if you talk about ATM, yes, you do this case. You talk about online ticket booking, you would exactly do the same thing, like where multiple users are trying to access that application. So through the multi-user case. Okay, now everyone thinks that I am the only user on the system. Actually, what it does is there is a mechanism called time sharing. So a short time span is given. Now, for example, like think of this for say for a while. Now with assumption that you all are here, correct? And now suppose this is current class is going on. Now, like while the class is going on, ultimately. So if I make a movement from say left to right, correct, while watching all the students in front, so everyone will see what, like I am paying attention towards you. Now, for example, if until and unless I say, okay, Mansi, are you there? Correct. So Mansi would not be responding to me. So that time we remaining students will assume what, Nitin Patel is talking with only Mansi. But when I say, are you here? So now, though in a parallel, like in this online platform, we don't reply to such things, or some of you may respond. And if you recall, in one of the session, I asked you, can you please raise hands? Correct? Through the chat window. So it could be like I'm communicating to you. Now you assumed that each one of you, like I sent this message to each individual of you. Correct? Now this is what. So everyone thinks that you are the only user on the system. Fine. So some time slice would be given ultimately for every user. And then after that time slice is over. Now when I say time slice, it is really in very small part of second, very small part of second. Now think of this, how this would be really working. Now even it can run several programs simultaneously. Now you must have seen I'm switching in between. So we may give some name to that switching in a different way. But if I see I am running exactly multiple programs simultaneously. So I may start playing my MP3 audio files, which was running in background, and suddenly I'm speaking with somebody and then my PowerPoint is working. So that can happen rather, correct? Nextly, now I was talking about you have multiple things to do at a time. So carrying out more than a task. Now, how can we do this? So we need to learn all the programs together and they would be running at the time. So for example, while you are browsing, like for example, I'm working here with PowerPoint at a similar time or at the same time, I'm using my browser too. Correct. And I'm switching from one application to other application using the combinations of Alt Tab keys. Correct. Which is permitting me to switch between the application. Now, when I switch in between the application, how my processor would be knowing that yes, now I have to concentrate on this PowerPoint slideshow. I have to concentrate on Firefox browser. I have to concentrate on Edge browser. How exactly it knows? And that's what is really a challenging task whenever we are trying to design and multitasking aspect. Correct. Now it can happen that like depending upon the cores that are available. For example, you are saying Core i7, Core i3, Core i5 with respect to the architecture of your devices. How many processors are there which are processing? So the task would be distributed across them and there would be dedicated processor for each task. Now when we say this, how exactly it might be handling that part in the background, and that would be really a challenging task. Correct. Now when we said this multi-user, okay, we were talking about switching in between. Even we said some amount of time slice would be given. Correct. Now when I do talk about this, how about having multiple programs running? So these are the tasks that I'm doing. But how about multiple programs I'm working with? Correct. So if I see, we may combine some of these and we can call multi-programming, where multiple processes are permitted to be active at once. And this will give rise to the ability of programmers which would permit interaction with the computer system directly. And definitely they would be sharing the resources. Now, when we do talk about the time sharing aspect, the time sharing would be what? Each user would be given a feel of having his or her own virtual machine. When I say virtual machine, that's what I say. Like while I moved from my say attention from left to right in the class, everyone assumes that I'm watching that individual. But how exactly that will be verified? So he or she assumes that I'm watching to that individual guy. And that's what virtually created environment. And that's even you must have seen we are connecting virtually. I don't know who is sitting that side. Maybe you logged in with your account. It may happen that your brothers sisters might be sitting in front and you are moving around elsewhere. Correct. Until unless I say okay, switch on all videos, then only probably it can happen. Now in schools, rather that was the reality. Like when in the pandemic it started in the initial stages, the classes, like small kids were not having habit of sitting at one place. Okay, though they could sit only in a classroom at one place for some amount of time. What they would be doing? Like my nephew used to move around whenever the class is. And then when suddenly teacher said, okay, switch on your video. So what he did? So after some time, like he used to switch on the camera, he will show that I am there. And after some time, he will switch off the camera and then say, okay, madam, my internet connectivity is too low. Correct. Now, when we do talk about such a case, now we may realize, like considering the class strength, for example, right now we have, say, let us see how many users are. So we have nearly, say, now 58, 56 peoples. Now, how much time it will take for me rather to pay attention to each user? So if I start taking name of each one of you, now when your number would be, you really are not sure about. Now, how exactly this would be done then? So when I say like even in chat, you must have seen that there is a mechanism that you can send messages to an individual like pressing this ampersand. Correct. And then you start writing the names. Correct. Whatever the names that you want. Otherwise, if I have to send a message to all, I will pass type here directly. Correct. Now, when we do say this, ultimately this is handled in a specific way. Now, which could be the kind of structure in between behind, we may not be sure. But now currently most of the operating system are sandwiched mode. They are permitting multiple things to do for us. Third aspect of implementation was like next aspect of implementation was interactive, where direct interaction used to be there. Now, for example, depending upon your response, the action would be taken. Now, if you see, these are the kind of examples that we have frequently used in this period, maybe except the last one. In this pandemic, we used multiple of them. Even like first and last, we might not have used directly, but rest of the three definitely we did. Most of us. Now it was with respect to your choice. What are the question that was like when I say question, it may not be directly question. You are choosing some item, then it will ask you, do you want to add any more elements into the cards? Any more products into the cards? And ultimately, like when you choose it, response, immediate response is given by the system to you through the application. And that's what we do call as interactive mechanism. Now, next thing would be kind of real time. Now, this again was one of the important aspect in respect of talking about the implementation. Now, these real-time operating systems consider time intervals to process, and they respond to inputs in very small. Now, when I say very small, I mean by without a delay, depending upon the response that you are expecting. For example, suppose you fire a rocket through the military thing, like, okay, now if I change the signal, if I ask, or if I through the commands, if I ask it to change the direction, it should. Otherwise, what can happen? It may go to some wrong direction which was not supposed to be. Now everything was to be set. So in real time that should be done. Now if we decide, like for example, we must have seen the Tesla cars that they are working around. Like we cannot give programmed thing, like programmed route. We cannot give. Like only you have to follow this route. It would be good if you have a controlled environment to execute. Now in cities, for example, like Pune, if you go to say Sangvi area, most of you might not have heard about, but hopefully you would be visiting and you would be seeing that area. Now, like if you want to, like that's what my trainer, while I started learning driving a car, told me that if you can drive successfully in Sangvi, then yes, you are the best driver. That's what real time you need to make the decision. It cannot be the case like, okay, you made a decision, I will put a brake after 5 minutes. No, it is not like that. It is real time. That response is really important. Now, if I'm trying to press brake and if the brake is not working, then it could be the problem. System may enter into some unacceptable state. Now, we cannot expect that kind of delay in the real time systems. So that's what it is said. Like most of the examples you do see, like health monitoring is one of them. Like we heard a case scenarios rather like where there was a fire in the hospitals. Now they might not have the complete systems. Now think of when your new buildings are protected with these fire alarms. Even there are some signals, there are some say devices installed so that depending upon the smoke, action would be taken, and that should be in a real time. Correct. Next is the batch processing. This was one of the kind of mechanism which was used in the initial days of operating system development. Here, everything was done in a batch manner. Now what happens is like now this was in really in 1960s or 70s, in between that time. Now you must have seen that there used to be a very big system available across the first computer. It was like a kind of garage size. Correct. Now if I do talk about such a case, how the processing would be. So they what they used to do is like even while I did my masters, my HOD at Jalgaon used to tell us this. So whenever they wanted to rather print their programs, compile their programs, what they used to do is like they used to punch the code, the program used to be punched. Now that punching also would be done by the person. Now you will write on paper, then you will give the paper with the cards, or you will give the paper to the punch operator, then he will punch. Now punching would be like kind of in the buses we have seen this, correct? That kind of punching. So card punching would be done, and then the whole bunch of cards, like one line on one card, whole bunch of cards is to be given to the card reader, and then the processing used to happen. Now you born in a era when you never used floppy diskettes. Even some of you must have used CD-ROMs, but now everyone is mostly heavily dependent on pen drives. Correct. Now even like while I did my bachelor's, that time like Pentium 1 was the machine. PCXT we used to call it, PCXT, and that is how it was. We used to make use of 1.2 MB of floppy diskette. For a C compiler, whenever we wanted to write a program, we used to write a program with one floppy diskette. That program would be loaded in memory. Then we used to remove earlier floppy diskette. We used to replace it by other floppy diskettes. And then it used to compile. And when we wanted to run, again, we used to remove the compiler floppy diskette. We used to insert another floppy diskette. So it was like a mechanical process where a standard routine was given. Like that would be done in a batch wise. So what used to happen, like while I was in bachelor's, we used to give the code for compilation purposes, and the processors were too low. Now the kind of devices that you have right now, they are very fast. Now, even if I compare Nokia 1100, the device we used, our computers were slow than Nokia 1100 while I was in bachelor's. Correct. So very few time intervention of the user was expected that time. Now, what are the processing power our mobiles are having? They are really now, whatever we experienced in year 2000. The kind of processing power that time with particular user, now that kind of processing power is available in your handheld devices. Now, so you must have seen sometimes your mobile gets heated due to the huge number of processing happening on your device, and it mostly happens with the case when there is an installation going on for the operating system probably, or update probably for your Android. Correct. And now you must have seen, like it asks you, like whenever you download the download the update, it is asking you like when do you want to schedule this. Generally, what the thing is, this even like on WhatsApp, you must have seen the backup of WhatsApp is taken generally at 2 a.m. in the night, when with assumption that you are not using WhatsApp at that time, so that data can be backed up. And most of the times it may ask you whether you want to take backup in your cellular network or Wi-Fi. So this is decided a planned thing. Right? That's what we call a batch one. That's what even I have mentioned here, off peak period, when you are not using it that time. Now, when there is less demand of processor, when disruption would not be there, and generally carried out in the night. And that used to happen with the card processing aspect. But then it was earlier stage, really earlier stage, and that was not good for when you want everything instantly. And now if you see currently, your era is fast food kind of era. You request or you require everything on a click basis. Okay, when you put a single click, everything should be done. Correct. But now think of how much efforts this operating system researchers carried out to get these all aspects implemented. So like how used to happen with respect to batch, multiple users used to be there. They used to give the jobs. The jobs would be submitted to the operator. Now, depending upon the operator, the priorities might be defined. Okay, and then he will process the jobs depending upon the batches. Like for example, 3 of them are trying to compile a Fortran program and 1 of them is trying to compile, say, ADA program. So different batches used to be there, and then they used to be given to the computer. Correct. Now like when we said how the things would be. Now, if I talk about sequential execution of independent jobs, like in this case, we said these are independent jobs. Now, if they are to be done in a batch wise, so until unless my first batch ends, I cannot start second batch. Now, when first batch is read by the card reader, CPU used to execute that, and at the same time card reader used to read, because they are different devices. And if it is a print job, then like printing would be done after this. So this was a batch wise. So whole batch 1 would be processed, then whole batch 2 would be processed, whole batch 3 would be processed. Now in this case, what used to happen is, like when we do talk about sequential execution of independent jobs, we don't care how many jobs are there. Sequentially, the jobs would be picked and processed. That is not in terms of batch. First come, first serve kind of stuff. What are the jobs submitted? The jobs would be processed. Now what can happen is, like a last job may require huge amount of time for waiting purpose with respect to sequential. Probably it could be the case that large job might be included in batch 1, depending upon the timeline provided. But then again, multiple switching should happen in between. Like how exactly it is going to work out, because instructions need to be passed. Now, if you see CPU and printer aspects, it looks similar, but the amount of time that particular job processing is done on CPU basis and batch basis, like job basis as well as batch basis, is different. Correct. Now, if suppose in a batch some program gets stuck, some error occurred, then everything would be stopped. with job basis, if that job is not working, it can start with next. Now, if this batch basis, if something is dependent on earlier case, and if earlier is not done completely, next cannot be started. The jobs can be easily thrown out when we are talking about sequential aspect. Now, let me really address what are the current operating system research topics where people are really working hard on getting this. First is symmetric multiprocessing. Now here, what happens is like it allows several CPUs to process multiple jobs at the same time. Now these CPUs are independent of each other. They are not dependent one, they are independent one. But what happens is each one of them would be having access to the operating system. This was symmetric multiprocessing. Asymmetric another one was one another. So some operating systems would function in such a way that there would be definitely assigned subordinate processors. So one CPU would be there which would be directing remaining all. Say for example, we had say a group. A captain would be there. Captain would be communicating what everyone else is going to do. That was asymmetric one. Correct. Another was kind of distributed processing, where these processes are not at same place. They might be placed in different remote locations. Now, when I say remote locations, how exactly they would be working then? When we do talk about distributed processing, they are definitely connected to each other via some mode through telecom devices or through probably internet connectivity and so on. Now they are definitely different than what we call as symmetric multiprocessing because they don't share the memory. In symmetric, what happens is they are sharing the memory. And in such a case, even like computations with respect to this distributed machines or distributed processing can be dispersed among several processors. Distribution could be done in different several processors. Now I am giving you some hints, rather what you should search for. You try to search for grid. Computing. Note down these terminologies. So grid you can take maybe this one. This is Azure. Okay. Then you can talk about. You can search about this cluster computing. I would be adding one assignment with respect to these terms in the next week. Okay. Grid computing, cluster computing, then cloud computing. Okay. You have to gather information about these concepts majorly. Grid, cluster, cloud. Understood the terms? I will write in chat window too, so that like you will not miss it if you haven't heard. So grid computing, cloud computing, cluster. Now think of this, like what kind of applications might be developing. Now think of this like you have a pot which contains oil, thick oil. Now suppose like another pot is containing say some liquid, which is not much thick. Suppose you have one heavy object, some small size object. Size may vary from 1 to like some dimension. Now if you throw that object into that pot, what will happen is some waves will be generated. So if some object hits another object, what action may get created? You might be talking about such a case. Correct. Now, if at all I want to design such an application which would be targeting that aspect, how can I implement this? Now, that time you'll be using your mathematics. Now, there would be multiple waves generated, correct? Now, how much size would be there for those waves? Now, when you must have seen, like we had some tsunami attack in Japan. Now, how they evaluate, like what would be height of that wave and how much damage that wave can do. This is to be processed. Now they are not going to go and see the height of the wave. That would be predicted, projected, that would be simulated. And when you want such kind of applications designed, ultimately you require support from the operating system, and that support would be done or given through these computing infrastructures. Grid, cloud, cluster. Now, one more thing, like in India, you must have, like in Pune University campus, we used to have CDAC. Okay, you must have heard about CDAC too. So try to find out what is Garuda Grid, which is an Indian grid created by CDAC for Indian researchers. And there are multiple grids available across. Now, when we do talk about cloud, we have Amazon's AWS, Microsoft Azure, and so on. There are multiple private cloud systems too. Even considering the processing power or usage perspective, even idea of data centers also came, where huge processing of data would be done. Now, what exactly these terminologies are? Now you may say how they are related to operating system, because operating system is supposed to provide support to all such applications. Now, if your operating system is not ready to support such kind of applications, how it would be done then? And that would be really a serious issue rather we need to think of. We have to come up with some ideas which would be definitely helping such applications. Now, like you must have heard, there is a DRDO, Research Development Organization of Central Government of India, for example. So one of the offices in Pune, and even we have an engineering college dedicatedly working for the students are taught there the different research aspects in respect of developments required for military, development required for this all security services. How exactly that they might be working upon, like when they come up with some new missile that needs to be tested. Now they don't go directly and test it. They try to simulate it first. How much damage it should make? What could be the amount of distance that can cover? When it hits the target, what kind of damage, what amount of damage, what would be the perimeter of that damage? That all needs to be verified first, simulated first. So you require an environment for such developments. And that environment basically is really, really important for an individual to know. Now we cannot go and directly shoot the missile. We need to know, because what can happen, we may not be sure about what amount of damage that missile is going to make. Correct. So that's the reason, like we definitely require some kind of applications development that should happen here. Now each one of you is in second semester of your degree course. My suggestion would be think about like writing an application. Now you both classes can work together, like IMCA peoples and your MCA batch can work together in respect of how can we utilize the mathematics knowledge with assumption that MCA peoples are having in comparison less knowledge. Can we really utilize the power of brain with respect to implementing some project? Okay, probably in your third semester, think of this, because you can work with this project, which can definitely make sense into your resume too while you're approaching something. I don't expect you to directly come up with an application. It could be POC, even proof of concept. Why not try this? Correct, because if at all we require or we want understanding of these all concepts, we definitely require implementations too. Otherwise, what happens is only the definitions are known. We don't care about any other thing. And we are not here to learn definition. Definitions can be learned through internet as well. Whether they are correct or wrong, we don't care. Correct? We don't care about it. Fine. So let us move further. Now, what would be the components of your operating system? Now, when we do talk about these components, each of these components listed here would be a separate, as I said yesterday too, it would be a separate thing, separate aspect for us. Now let us talk about one by one. Process, memory, file, IO, secondary storage, networking, protection, command interpreter system. So let us talk about process management. So what exactly this process management should do? Now see, like when we do talk about executing our program, we wrote a program, operating system calls it as a machine code. Correct, because your machine can understand only machine code, which is probably in binary, or sometimes some of you may say X in hex. Now, when we do talk about defining a process, we have to define the process as a program which is in memory. Correct. Now we definitely would be working with this. Like how many such programs possibly could be then? Now think of, I executed this PowerPoint. How many programs are running in between? So if I press Control Alt Delete on Windows, if I try to see process, now try to see how many things are running there, like with respect to this Microsoft PowerPoint. Sorry. Yeah, you can see how much changes are happening from that side. So suppose if I do this way, okay. So control, if I press, let us say if I press escape here, okay, and if I press again Control Alt Delete, now try to see PowerPoint again. So it must be gone down now. Yeah. So only one. Nothing is done here. Usage of percentage is really 0. Okay. So if I control this way, and if I try to show you this even here. Now see the PowerPoint aspect when I make change here. Now you may see when I click here, ultimately some change will happen. Correct. 0.3, 0.4. Correct. If I start playing this slideshow, ultimately changes also would be done on that side. Like now you may see the amount of usage. Now I'm not doing anything there. That's why again it came back to 0%. Fine. So this would be done. Now this was handled like whatever you saw here as on a list. These all are programs, but they are called as processes. They are in memory. Correct. So when I say a process is a program in execution. And this needs certain resources. That's what it is trying to communicate us here. How much memory, how much CPU, how much disk, how much network. Correct. Even how much power usage and so on. Very few parameters might be shown here. You may get as many as you wish depending upon the columns that you add. Even I talk about performance, say it will let me know through the performance graph. So this is a utility on Windows which permits you to get this thing depicted in respect of how the usage is. With respect to memory, see how the usage is. With respect to disk, per unit time, what is happening? Okay, with respect to internet, now see how much fluctuation is. It is like computing an ECG or getting an ECG for an individual. Correct. Multiple changes can be seen in the network depending upon how much up and how much down speed is. Now you can see how much speed is there with respect to our network. Okay, depending upon number of users. Now this would be like kind of it would be making use of resources including CPU time, memory and so on. Process is an active entity which is running. Program would be on the disk. It is passive. Now what happens like when OS works with process management, following would be the activity that it would be creating. Process creation, deletion, process suspension, resumption, synchronization, communication, and even deadlock. Now think of this, like I must have given you an example, like one thing is required by two peoples. Now they will run and who catches first would be getting it. Now suppose both of them catch that same time. What should happen? There is a deadlock. I gave you example of ATM yesterday or in previous class. How the thing would be resolved? We definitely require then some kind of mechanism. Okay, so we would be working with this. I'm going to show you this deadlock scenario created by making use of one database application. Okay, like you will see that, yeah, deadlock happened. Now, those who did databases course, you must have, you may recall that you have been taught this deadlock there as well. Because the few concepts are like when this OS is designed, it was designed with respect to paying attention to few important aspects like databases, networks, and so on. That is the reason why you may see even network is added here. Even all these five things go to systems. All this protection thing goes to security. This goes to user interface. Correct. So all these things would be supported by your OS. Second important aspect is memory. How much memory you have and how exactly that should be distributed. Now, if suppose I purchase a flat consisting of say 2000 square feet. Now, do I really require it? It is not like that I do have amount of money available with me. That's what I took it. But then taking care of it would be one important aspect, and that's what management of memory would be important. Otherwise, we don't care how much what garbage we do create. Now, if you search your machine, rather, I can assure you that you would be having huge amount of garbage. Too many files are repeatedly added there, and most of the times it could be your resume. It could be MP3 files even. Like on mobile, you must have seen there's a device, there's a mechanism which says like, do you want to remove these duplicate files that can identify. Similarly, with respect to memory aspect. Now, when I say memory, I do mean by both aspects, storage as well as memory, though they are different one. But we are talking about now volatile and non-volatile. Memory would be large area of bytes. Now think of this, like suppose in your house you must add some tiles. Each tile represents a byte or a word, and each tile would be having address. So you would be starting from sequential way. Then you are going to have U and again another U and so on. So curve basis, like or sliding basis, you are going to work with in a sequential manner. And this can be accessed differently. Your CPU can access it, your IO devices can access it. But how? They could be sequential approach or that could be random access. Randomly you are jumping from one to other. Now we need to always keep track of how much memory is used. And that's what you may see here, like in this case, when we talk about this memory. Here it is showing us in a frequent way. Like if I go here and if I talk about this, it is telling me how much memory from the available memory is comprised within this application. Now you can see Microsoft Teams, how many services are running, say 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And there are 6 thin elements or children's running in between. Suppose if I click on this, okay, let me capture this. Oh, sorry. It is frequently moving, so it is very difficult to capture. Yeah, you may see these are the things running and each one is doing a specific task. One of them is sending my voice to you. One of them is probably sending content that I'm displaying to you. One of them is sending my chat. One of them is sending me your data from your side. If you speak individual of you, correct. So like so many things are to be managed from the memory perspective too. See, like each one is having some specific memory given. Correct? Can you see that? And that's what we have to keep track of, which part of memory is used by whom and how much. Also, whether to permit loading a program or not needs to be taken as a decision perspective. How will you take that decision? The decision needs to be taken. Correct. As well as how much to be allocated, how much to be taken back from the individual program. Fine. Okay. And we'll talk about this and then we'll stop. Last thing is next one thing is file management. I was talking about how exactly you are going to copy files, paste files. Even the backup is to be taken per day basis. Now think of this, if like your WhatsApp application is not permitting you to delete substantially the images sent to you. Now if you search your device now only, you can find out in gallery most of the images, most of the files you never have visited, you never have seen. They are sent to you and you put that in your storage because you never worried about your storage. Now one day your device will tell you, boss, there's less memory. Will you do? I think that you should clear that memory and then we start deleting. Even we do keep copies of them. We move to some backup thing through some mechanism, either connecting to the system or either connecting directly pen drive to the device. We need to definitely give access to each one of the aspect, like who can access what from the file aspects. OK, and each file, if you recall, which like I'm going to make available you one channel. OK, or one set of video, one playlist. Like when I said you should read that Charles Petzold when you have free time, I suggest you, though it is not course for you, but I suggest you to go through whatever is covered in the course of MSc. So I will be adding that playlist information on your WhatsApp group respectively. Whenever you have free time, you please go through it because it is better to know about it. Fine, and this would be really helping you to understand these all things: file, memory, and process. Fine. So in next session, we'll be talking about more about remaining aspects, as well as we are going to talk about structures, what the operating systems are coming up with. OK, so be ready with this. I'm going to upload slides up to this on Moodle specifically. Any question, please? By the way,
Yes,
you can stop me anytime in between whenever there is a question. Yeah, somebody was saying.